Welcome to Taking Care of Your Music Business, brought to you by the Mechanical Licensing Collective, also known as the MLC. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into the heart of the music industry, exploring how to get paid as a creative, making sure that you're receiving all the royalties you deserve. We'll also dive into building a sustainable career, sharing strategies and best practices that creators can use to achieve long-term success. Join us as we bring you interviews with top songwriters and music executives who share their personal journeys and professional wisdom on thriving in the business, all while making a living. So get ready for some real talk about navigating the music industry. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and be sure to catch all of our full episodes on YouTube.
Welcome back to the MLC's podcast, Taking Care of Your Music Business. I'm Jamie Dominguez with the MLC, and on this episode, we're celebrating Christmas in July with Tekitha Wisdom and Shane Stevens. Tekitha is known to many as the soulful voice behind the iconic Wu-Tang Clan and co-creator of the genre-bending mother-daughter act, One the Duo. Her collaborator and friend, Shane Stevens, is a Grammy-nominated songwriter who's written hits ranging from country to pop that have been recorded by everyone from Carrie Underwood to Ariana Grande. They'll share their fascinating stories about how they got their start and give advice to the next generation on how to stay grounded and succeed in this tough business. Hi.
Hi,
Hello.
Jamie.
Hi.
We made it.
Look at us.
Here we
Welcome.
are, with lights and mics and tables and hats
In the
and
Santa's pub.
mugs, and it's like our version of The View.
I'm
But-
into it.
But we are on the MLC podcast.
Yes, we're
Thank
not
you
going to
for
talk
being
over each
here.
other.
No, we're not.
Except for I'm doing it now.
And I'm doing it.
Maybe a little bit.
Okay, so I'm so excited to have not one, but two of you here
thank
today.
you.
So thank you for being here.
Anytime we get to be together, we're happy.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
a brother from another.
That's right.
So.
I know.
Years
Sister
we've
from
been
another
very close
mister.
friends.
There's a method to the madness, and there's a reason why you're on together. So it's not just a coincidence.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
I love it.
But I'm just going to read off some impressive things about the two of you so that our listeners are aware of the greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Tekitha Wisdom.
Ooh.
Tekitha Wisdom. Did
Who's
you get the
that?
memo?
Mm-hmm.
Is an artist, visionary, and cultural architect whose life and work sit at the intersection of music, storytelling, spirituality, and community impact.
Mm.
Known to many as the soulful voice of the iconic Wu-Tang Clan.
Don't know if I know who that is.
Who are they?
Who are
Who
you?
are those guys? And co-creator of the genre-bending mother-daughter act, One the Duo. Tekitha has spent her career pushing creative boundaries while staying grounded in purpose, intention, and service.
That's good.
Well said.
Who wrote that?
Yes.
That is good. I love all that
That's
truth.
pretty
Come
good.
on.
I
Yay.
appreciate you.
But wait,
There's
Wait,
more.
I'm not done. Shane Stevens
Oh, stop.
is a Grammy-nominated songwriter and singer
Mm.
who has written both country and pop hits recorded by chart-topping and multi-award-winning artists like Carrie Underwood, Lady A, Selena Gomez, Walker Hayes, Meghan Trainor, Ariana Grande, Little Big Town, Kelly Rowland, and Jordan Sparks, just to name a few, because
Won
we'll
the
be here
Duo.
for hours. And Won the Duo. I was
Yeah.
getting to that. His songs are reflective of his journey in life, the music industry, and his growth as a songwriter and performer. He is deeply rooted in his faith,
Yes.
speaking his truth, and mentoring the next generation of songwriters.
Oh, yeah.
I added
Sure.
that
I
part.
tried to. I love that. I'm like, that's not in my bio.
I added that part. I'm
but
sorry,
I love
had
that.
to.
But that's very true.
Well, we had
Thank
to speak
you.
about your faith and all because
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is like so. I
That's
know
who I
that's
am.
important
Mm.
to you, and it is definitely a through line for both of you.
Yes, it is.
100%.
When did the two of you meet?
Oh my gosh.
I don't even think I know the story. So
Tekitha, you start.
We
I know where we met.
I know where we met as well. Right over there by what's the
Lipscomb.
college? University Lipscomb. Thank you.
At the
Lipscomb.
well.
It must have been 2021. We were introduced to both Shane and Nash Overstreet through our then manager Renee Bell, and when I tell you it was like the sky parted kind of a vibe.
It was
Like
an
we come into
explosion of
it
love.
really was an explosion of love, and we bonded immediately. Just kind of, it was one of those meet before you write kind of a thing.
Yep.
And so we got to sit and chop it up and talk about life and love and God and our passions. Like, it just all kind of erupted at the table all at one time, and scheduled the write. And we've been locked in ever since. When I say that
Literally
Shane is my Nashville family, Prana and I, our Nashville family, it's not, those aren't just words, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
He's
Same.
been an anchored force for us, you know, to kind of understand Nashville and understand the songwriting community here. And Prana and I were still new to the community at that time. And even though we had been in Nashville for, at that point, probably 4 years, we weren't working on the duo, like, and really advancing, you know, the project.
Okay.
So Shane and Nash were probably the first few writers that we had met, that we knew we were looking to kind of collaborate and bring some other writers into the room with us. So
And
that's how we met.
did you request them? Like, was that intentional?
Well, no. So Renee Bell, the beauty of our alignment and our connection was she had spent enough time with us to really understand what we were actually looking for. I mean, she's not like
Being
the queen of
being
this
the
town
A&R
for-
queen.
Yeah, she's not the queen
Exactly.
of this town for no reason. You know?
Right.
Right.
What I love, like, speaking to Renee too, like, what I loved about her style and how she worked with us is every conversation was how can I say, like, data for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could tell that she listened, she understood, she knew what kind of project we were trying to create. And Shane and Nash together were, like, on top of her list. She was like, I just got a feeling. I have a feeling that you guys are going to get it. And personality wise, she really understood myself. She understood Prana, understood our voices, and she knew, and she was right. And she A&R'd our entire album. So everybody that she chose was
On purpose.
on purpose and fully in alignment with not just great songs and great songwriting and collaboration, but then also spirit wise,
Right.
Because that's what we were trying to bleed into the record. It was going to have some spirit, not just some amazing songs.
I mean,
That's how we met.
It's a perfect match because when I listened to that album, without even looking at the credits, I know which songs you
we're
wrote.
a part of.
And we're jumping ahead.
Yeah.
We're gonna dial it back, but I just want to say that because I mean, I would have thought you knew each other
Forever.
or maybe even grew up together.
Yeah.
But you came from completely different worlds, although there's a very similar through line in your stories. So it makes a lot of sense that there was the chemistry. But okay, so let's go back. Let's, like, start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Sort of. Shane, you grew up you're a Southern boy, South
yeah,
Carolina.
I'm deep South.
Yeah.
Yeah, like deep low country is what we call it. I was born in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, but I grew up in a little fishing town called Calabash, North Carolina, and my dad was a shrimper, so I grew up on a shrimp boat. And so I learned very quickly as a little kid what I did not want, which was to make my living out of the ocean, because it was a hard life for my dad. And I started singing before I could really talk. My mama has a tape recording of me singing "Surely Goodness and Mercy Will Follow Me All the Days of My Life," over and over and over, which is actually scripture. So she'd say it to me and I would sing it back.
Yeah.
And I just knew from a really, really young age that I had to do something in music. I didn't know that I'd be a songwriter right away, but I knew I wanted to sing.
Okay.
I didn't know that I wanted to be a songwriter until 1990.
Okay.
When I heard Mariah Carey on the radio the first time. So
what
that was a
song-
whole other story.
What song was it?
It was Vision of Love, and it was
course.
on the Casey Kasem Countdown. And I'm a big journal person. I journal every single morning of my life. Something's off if I'm not doing it. But and about, it was 3 summers ago, I woke up. I was in Houston, Texas, visiting a friend, and the first thing I wrote down in my journal, because it's very stream of consciousness for me. It's how I create. It's how I tap in to even write songs. And that morning, the first thing that came out was 1990, and all of a sudden, I was in a full-on vision memory. God shows me my things, even songs like movies. It's funny because videos end up being little movies of our songs. But that was the morning my aunt had been in a car accident and wrecked her 1990 Chevrolet Lumina, and she was going to get a rental car, and we were riding in my uncle's van. He was a locksmith, and a crawdad had crawled out of a basket and had somehow burrowed somewhere in the van, so it smelled like a rotten crawdad. But I was immediately in that memory. I'm like, why am I here? And I remember pulling up, getting out of the van, being so excited that the van was open. They're puffing cigarettes the whole way. We're listening to the radio, country music, of course, which I loathed at the time. So it's pretty funny that I ended up writing it for a living. But I jumped out of the van, and there was a 2-door Cutlass Supreme, and I was like, please God, let this be the car, because it looks like it has a working air conditioner, and
that's right.
and it's not dented or whatever, and this is the car that's probably going to be taking me to school. So let the radio work, let there be a tape player. And we got in it. It smelled like woolite. And we pulled out, and we're driving down Business 17 through North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And we got to, and I'm not kidding you, this is how vivid my memories are. We get to in front of the Putt Putt and the Harris Teeter and the Roses, the store. And all of a sudden, I hear the opening run of Vision of Love.
And that was it.
And that was it. And Casey Kasem, it's like that was Mariah Carey. And I begged my aunt right then, oh my God, can we please go to the record store and find this Mariah Carey person? Can we stop at the Briarcliff Mall? And I jumped, she's like, okay. So I jumped out of the car. She lights up for another cigarette the way the women in the South did back then. And I was not going to wait for her to finish smoking. I ran inside to the record store, and I was like, I need to find Mariah Carey. And they're like, oh, everybody's asking for that. Let me see if we have one in the back. And they come out with a tape. And it was a yellow sticker with red numbers that said $9.99, and I was like, "It's $10. Where am I going to get $10?" They didn't have a tape single, and so my aunt comes in. She's like, "Did you find it?" Yeah, yes, but it's $10. She's like, and she carried her cash in her little sequin pouch, which she kept her cigarettes in. She pulled out a 20 and she handed it to the man. She paid for it. She's like, I was like, I'll babysit. I promise I'll do anything. Can I have it? She's like, don't worry about it. So I got that tape, got in the car, ripped open that tape jacket, and it said, lyrics and melody, Mariah Carey, lyrics and melody, Mariah Carey, lyrics and melody, Mariah Carey. I was like, oh my God. She writes her songs. I didn't think about songwriters then, right? And so we drive back to my aunt's house, and I threatened everyone's lives, do not come downstairs because I'm studying Mariah Carey. Like, it was so intense for me. It was a life-changing moment, and I didn't realize it was until 3 years ago. But what's so exciting about it was she had 3 and 4 syllable words like indefinitely and things I didn't know, at 12. Yeah. And I would run upstairs and be like, what does this word mean? We didn't have the Google, girl. I didn't know, I was like, where's the dictionary? Not in my house. So they'd tell me, and I'd run back downstairs. And I remember getting to the song Vanishing. And I was just like, oh my God, I want to be a songwriter. I want to write songs like this. And literally that day of journaling was the day that the Holy Spirit said, this was the day you asked me for your gift. And that is the day that it started.
How old were you?
I was 12.
That's deep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy because...
And that's the Cliff Notes version. But that's literally what happened. I can pinpoint the day I asked God, will you give me songs? Will you give me words and melodies? Yeah. And then it started. And then it happened.
Tekitha, do you remember the moment? The exact moment?
In
that vivid of a...
Lord.
Yes.
Of a memory?
Now, I can't tell the story as eloquently as my guy right here. I leave that to him. But no, and ironically, it was around the same time. Really? I definitely had my Mariah Carey moment when I first heard it, and it was on a top 40. It wasn't Casey Kasem, or maybe it might have been. It might have been. But it was one of those top 40 on the weekend kind of a day. I remember Vision of Love, the video, seeing her on one of the late night shows, one of her first appearances. Holy moly. Huge influence on my life as a writer. At the time, I was, which would have been 90, right? Is that 90, 91? 90. So I was a senior in high school in 1990, like junior coming into my senior year in 1990, depending on when she released. So very prime time. My knowledge of my ability came because I was a poet. So I always wrote poetry. And my grandmother, who her name is Miranda, my grandma Miranda, she passed, God bless dead. But she was a writer. And so my mom was like, oh yeah, you got the gift from your grandmother. You know, I'm like, oh, okay. So I was always writing from 11, 12, again, 13 years old, like all around that time. And I used to, you know, an avid music listener because my mother always had records playing in the house. My father was big music lover. Like, he introduced me to hip hop first, like I must have been 7, I believe. 7 or 8 is when I heard my first hip hop record.
What was it?
It was Roxanne Shante.
Oh.
It was Roxanne Shante. And then I ended up hearing, who after that? Come on, it's coming to me. The album cover has a candy stripe on it, and it is hip hop.
Oh, Sugar.
Thank you. Appreciate you. I'm like having a brain freeze.
That's okay.
Sugar Hill Gang was also one of the like earliest records I'd ever heard. But so moving back up to like 12, 13, 14, 15, I was writing poetry. Then up through 16, 17, I was fully embedded into hip hop music and hip hop culture and writing rhymes and understanding, oddly enough, song structure, because I had so much like music 101 just from childhood that I knew by feeling. I didn't know what a bar was. I didn't know structure, the theory, you know, of music, but I knew the feeling. She needs to change here, and now this other thing has to happen, and then repeat that. And so I had like my own language to kind of describe what I was doing. So by the time I'm in junior and senior year of high school, we had I was in a speech and debate class, and 2 of my closest friends, Ron Thomas and Kahali, we were all in the class together, and we were just talking about our favorite hip hop songs, right? And they were like, well, "What's your favorite? What's your favorite?" So I just start rhyming the song, and it was Slick Rick, A Children's Story. That's when I knew. And then they were sitting there with their mouths hanging open, like what? Because I basically was performing the song, but sitting in the seat just like I'm sitting now, like
casual.
Once upon a time, not long ago. And that's my joint, you know what I'm saying? And so then that's when I said, oh, I gotta perform. Like I have to, okay. And from that moment on, I like, so senior in high school, I went to LA, spent a little bit of time in LA, went to Atlanta, moved from California, my hometown, Sacramento, California. I moved from there to Atlanta and was like, yeah, okay, I think I'm just gonna try this now. Like, let me just check this out. And it really, everything happened like within less than a year. I had met Wu-Tang and then jotted over to New York, got my deal with Epic, and it was history after that.
Okay,
so I've been with them.
You just glazed over that. I just met Wu-Tang.
And then
how did that happen? How did that?
Okay, so because that's a little bit of a strange story too. So I'm in Atlanta, coming at the airport, about to go back to California for just a visit. I had been in Atlanta for, I don't know, not even 6 months at that time, and I ran into a friend of mine who used to date my aunt, one of my aunts. His name was Mike Scholl. It's hilarious. Oh my gosh, he passed away too. Oh. So I run into Mike Scholl, and he's like, Tekitha, where are you going? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so random to see you. I couldn't have been but 19, I guess, at the time. And I said, I'm just headed back to SAC. Like, what are you doing? He's like, man, I'm an attorney now. You know, he's older than me about 5 years. And he was like, I'm in law school. I'm in law school, but I'm working with this company called, what's the name of that doggone company? The Kingsley Group. Okay. The Kingsley Group. And they're in Chicago, and they were a sports entertainment firm. They didn't have any like music ties or anything. So this is like, you know, they represented Scottie Pippen and Juwan Howard, a couple of other folks, right? Like some very marquee NBA players, league players. And so he's like, yeah, like I'm coming up under them. I'm getting ready to graduate law school, and then, you know, that's my home now. And what are you doing? I was like, you know, I don't even know what made me say it, but I was like, well, I'm performing, like I'm writing, I'm singing and writing songs, and you know, I'm an MC. And he was like, wait, what? And I didn't grow up in the church singing. That was not my path. Mm-hmm. I was a professional athlete from 6 years old until I graduated high school. Okay. So he was like, what? Singing? What do you mean? And he was like, well, here, take my card and let's get reconnected.
A card?
I want to bring you a card, child. He was professional.
Real professional.
He was professional.
He said, take this.
And so then I go to Cali, I come back home, and he brought the vice president of the company to come meet me in Atlanta. So we went and ate. I had known at that time, like, I'm very resourceful. I meet people all the time. And so I had producers under my belt, like 10 of the best producers in Atlanta who were like kind of coming into the game, a little bit, but hard, like the best production. I loved it. And I was singing over production that was not really typical of a vocalist to sing over, because I liked my beats like edgy and a little raw, and so that was kind of like a path of my own that I had chosen, because I was such an avid hip hop lover. So I just had some tapes and I just was singing across the beat, like just like we're sitting here now, no microphone, no nothing fancy. And so he was like, I want you to come up to Chicago and come meet the president of the group. Oh, okay, fine. So I go up there, and within 24, 48 hours, they were like, well, you want to move here and be here, and let's like work on some music with you, and we'd love for you to be our first artist. And I said, all right, fine. No paperwork. We didn't have like any paperwork. And they were like, well, what do you need? How would you like to get set up? I was like, an apartment, I just need a place to stay. I need a car. I need some walking around money. I don't know any of this, by the way. It's not like I knew I was negotiating.
Right, totally. Yeah.
I was like, I just know what I need to survive.
Right.
And
food.
So clothing and shelter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm in Chicago, and a friend of mine came to visit. I had been there, again, like a very short time, like maybe 4 months at that time. I only had recorded like 3 songs with them at that point. I chose the producers, the whole thing, because I had already had like a pretty solid connection with some folks. And he came to visit. I'll never forget, his name was Dante Perkins. He came to visit. He stayed a day, like literally one day. He was kind of coming through, like he had some people he was visiting in the Midwest. So came for a day. I played him the music. When he leaves, I can't find the tape nowhere. I'm like, where is the fucking tape at, right?
Nuh-uh.
So now, mind you, this would have been 1995. Had to have been 95, because it was during, do you guys remember the Million Man March?
Yeah.
Nation of Islam's Million Man March. So he was on his way to New York, to DC rather, for the march. Right. And he says, I get in touch with him, right? I don't remember who I called, doesn't matter. I get in touch with him, and I'm like, bro, I can't find my tape anywhere. He said, oh yeah, I got it. He's like, no, I took that from you. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, I told you I was going to go link up with, I know some of the guys in Wu-Tang. I know the people who manage.
People in these streets be taking people's tapes. No, ma'am.
The tape, child.
Wow.
You know how mad I was? And this was not like in the days where
you could just get another tape.
Get a copy?
No.
You got to call the studio. It was everything I had recorded was on reel to reel.
Yeah. Totally. This wasn't easy.
No.
Yeah, you couldn't.
So I said,
he went MP3 in it.
No. I said, oh my God, I can't believe you took my shit. That's crazy. And so he was like, no, I had to. Sis, it was too good. I had to take it. So he ends up going to the march, giving my tape to Howard Edwards, Tyrese Supreme. Like it floated around. The tape ended up going from DC. They drove down to Atlanta, like following each other, like what do they call that, caravan style?
Wow. So
by the end, like Ray had heard it, Method Man had heard it, Ghostface had heard it, and then RZA heard it. And he told me that he still has that tape somewhere to this day.
He better give you that tape.
He never loses. He does not lose anything.
Okay.
He's one of those. Like it's in safe. It's in better hands than in mine.
It's in a vault. It's in his archives.
And so
wow.
So that's essentially how I got connected to Wu-Tang. But so I'm in the office in Chicago, just happened to be there. And this is weeks later, 2 weeks or so later. I used to go up to the office and hang out. They're in a high rise downtown Chicago. You know what I mean? And so I would just be there watching movies or just hanging out. Sure, you know what I'm saying? And the receptionist, calls over the intercom. Oh, Tekitha, you have a call on line 1, right? So I go to the phone. Yeah, hello. And I'm wondering who's calling, the office for me. It said, hey, Peace, this is Howard Edwards calling from Wu-Tang Productions. Is this Tekitha? I start laughing. I'm like, Pat, Demond, because I have a little brother, right? So I'm like, Demond, stop playing on these people's phone. You know this is a business fool. You can't be calling if you're playing on the phone.
Gosh.
Click, and I hung up.
You hung
So
up
then a
on
minute later, like literally like a minute later, rings again. Ring, ring, ring. Yeah, is this Tekitha? Yes, it's Tekitha. This is Howard Edwards. I'm calling from Wu-Tang Productions. I said, oh my God, this has got to be a joke. I thought you were my little brother playing on the phone. And he's like, nah, you know, we've been listening to your music and, you know, we just want to kind of talk to you and see what's going on and you have any shows coming up. And ironically, I had been blowing through Chicago. Like, there wasn't a mic that I hadn't touched. Mm-hmm. And I was always, you know, either singing the hooks and rhyming the verses or inverted, right? And so I said, oh, ironically, I have a show in a couple of weeks. And, you know, if you let me know you're coming, I'll make sure you guys got a table, all the things. And so they came. And they didn't know I had built up like a following, like a kind of like a cult following. So about 3,000 people or something.
What? Okay. That's impressive.
So then they were like, we haven't even heard of you. Like, who are you, right? That's how I met the Klan. I did my deal with them not even a month later. And it was kind of like, same kind of thing. I told them, well, this is what I would need. This is what I want. Who are the producers? I just was trying to understand what the flow was. But it wasn't like I had... I didn't have any coaching, no training. I had no one in my family who's from the music business.
Totally.
I just kind of instinctively knew, and I was always tapped in, you know, to the Most High. Always like, okay, should I do this now, or what should I, you know, how should I move,
right?
Which way? And I think you and I had a conversation once where I told you I never had an opportunity to only be an artist. I've always been an executive handling my own business because I couldn't really trust for someone to see the vision that the way I saw the vision. And not only that, the vision was given to me. Right. Yeah. So the best I could do is try to make sure I'm aligning with people who at least can grasp it and then help me to execute. And that's what kind of continues to happen throughout my career. But that's how I got it.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Moved to New York, the whole thing. First moved back to Atlanta. They got me a crib there. Then ended up moving to New York. And the funny thing about the moving to New York piece and kind of getting now into the inner circle of the Klan, we were at MTV. They had a what was it? They had a taping for what was the name of that movie? How High. It was How High. Do you remember that?
Of course, yeah.
So they had a taping. That was Method Man and Meth and Red, right? Mm-hmm. So they had a taping for How High. And Power, who's one of the executive producers of Wu-Tang, he picked me up from the airport, was like, look, this is where you're going to be staying for the next like week or two. Get yourself together. We're going into the city to go to this taping at MTV. And I'm like, now mind you, I'm greener than I've never done a thing. Totally. I did nothing. I don't know. I said, we're going, where did who do what? So we get to the green room at MTV, come inside, and we're like, you know, coming through all like the dressing rooms. And one after one, it's like, there's You God and Master Killer, and there's Ghostface and Raekwon, and he's walking me into every room. Oh, y'all, this is Tekitha. And everybody knew who I was. Oh, yeah, we was listening to your songs, and man, you dope, blah, 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 right? My brain is like,
whoa.
What is happening?
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
Oh, thanks, that's amazing. Thanks, guys. Oh, nice to
Were you
meet you.
freaking out inside?
No, they're very they're warm and engaging people, and I grew up around, you know, my father's one of 7, and only one girl in that family, so I'm used to tall giants. My dad's 6'6", you know what I'm saying? I have an uncle who's 7 feet tall, you know,
right.
So I'm
7 feet tall
around giants, you know what I'm saying? So they were very comfortable. Like, it felt like, oh, I know y'all. So we get to the last room, and RZA's in the last. Before RZA was Method Man. He has his own dressing room, and so he walks up to me after Power introduces me and starts singing the hook of one of my songs. This was a song called Unknown, right? And the hook was like, wondering, wondering, what will the new day bring? How he knew this song and was singing it to me, the whole chorus, and everybody's like, yeah, that's my shit too. That's the one I like. Wow. Method Man at the height of Method Man.
Stop.
So then we get into RZA's dressing room. He does the introduction, and he's like, "Oh, he's like, man, we was listening to her tape. He's like, sing something for us. Sing something for us." And I was like, "No." I said, "Well, this is your time at the Apollo." No, I said, "I'm not doing that. You just said you listened to the." I said, "No." He fell out laughing. He was like, "Oh, I like you. We're gonna be all right." Mm-hmm. And that's the story.
And
I love that story.
That's how it all started.
Oh, it's fun to do
locked in ever since.
Come on, backstory.
I mean, That's like...
I don't think I've told that story
out
loud.
I don't know that story.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
I learned something new today about Tekitha that I didn't know.
You
with all of you
so much.
Yeah.
With all of
here on the MLC podcast.
Learning all kinds of things. And that's just the beginning. We're just getting started.
We're just diving.
So what was
Holy moly.
the first song? Well, okay, so let's go back to how you got to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
You were in New York at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You moved to Nashville around. You were in Nashville at that time when she was in Chicago.
Oh, right.
So
I moved to Nashville in 1996 originally.
Oh, see,
Okay,
yeah.
And my teal green Ford Ranger girl.
Oh, that's right.
Me and a Christian record called Jars of Clay.
Oh, I remember George.
Rain,
Yeah.
rain on my face. The flood. The song hasn't stopped raining for days. And Fleetwood Mac's greatest hits. And I had a tape player and a teal green Ford Ranger. I had $300 and a coffee can.
Wow.
And a futon in the back. And I moved here because I met who would become my best friend, Karen Rochelle, at an Opryland audition. And that just kind of ignited everything. And when she decided she was moving to Nashville, she asked me if I would go with her. And so what would have been my public high school prom, senior prom, as I left, I was incredibly bullied in high school for being a little gay kid. But I ended up going to Christian school, and I got out of school early. And so I went to school to my prom with my friend Andrea. What would have been my prom. And that night after the prom, I moved to Nashville. I took my tuxedo, left it with my mom to turn in, and drove to Nashville.
Out of there.
And that was
So you didn't have any like...
I had no job.
Business
Connects,
reason.
or,
Like you didn't have a...
Well, when I auditioned for Opryland, I was 15, and by the time I was able to move, they wanted me to go to, they had a show at Fiesta, Texas, and I didn't want to go to Texas. And Karen was working at the Country Jamboree, I think it was called, in Myrtle Beach, and I was running karaoke show. Just had my license. I was 16 years old at a bar called Crawdaddy's.
Okay.
And Karen came in after work one night, and she's like, "What are you doing in a bar running karaoke show?" Like I was the KJ.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Girl, don't tell nobody."
Right.
You know, but because I got to pay.
Sure.
Pay
your bills.
I had
live.
I had to live. I was, I just had a different life.
Yeah.
There was, I had to help. And so I waited tables, I bussed tables, I ran karaoke shows. I did everything I could do because I was going to get out of there. And so we met and ended up re-met and ended up singing together that night on stage a song called A Bad Goodbye by Clint Black and Wynonna Judd. And we just loved each other, loved singing with each other. And then we started kind of writing songs a little bit together.
Okay.
And she lived in a condo around the corner. And then when she decided that it was time to go to Nashville, she asked me if I would come, and I talked to my mom about it, and so I did. And then when I got to Nashville, I had to find a job, and it just so happened that there was a restaurant opening I saw in the paper, because we used to look at the paper, girl, to find our jobs back in the day. And I didn't even have a cell phone then, and so I saw that they were hiring servers at this restaurant called the Crab House, and it hadn't opened yet. And so I went downtown on 2nd Avenue, and I walked in and introduced myself. I wasn't even old enough to serve alcohol, 17 years old. And I was like, "Look, I grew up on a shrimp boat. I know everything there is to know about seafood." And so they hired me.
Yeah.
And then the servers that were all working there were all older than me. And so they were like annoyed because anytime there was an alcohol order, I had to grab another server, or a bartender had to leave from behind the bar to serve tables the alcohol. But because of that job, and because all things really do work together for the good, for those who believe, God put Jerry Crutchfield, who was a record producer and publisher, and he was the head of MCA Records for a long time. He produced Lee Greenwood and Tanya Tucker and Barbara Mandrell and at the time, Tracy Bird, who was huge with the Watermelon Crawl. So, right in the center of really great 90s country.
Yeah.
Like he was ruling it. And he saw my name tag, and it said Shane, Calabash, North Carolina. And he said, "I've been there." So we talked. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, he would go there to play golf. And he had eaten in some of my family's restaurants. And he asked me what I was doing in Nashville. I said, well, I think I'm a singer-songwriter. I don't know if I'm a great songwriter yet, but I'm going to be. But my best friend that I moved here with is the best singer-songwriter. She writes the best songs. You know, and listening back now, what were they thinking when they said yes to us? But he's like, well, where is this friend, this Karen? I'm like, oh, she's back in North Carolina trying to figure out how she's going to live here without having to have a normal job. And so he's like, well, if you have a tape of any of these songs? I said, I sure do. He said, well, why don't you come by my office on Tuesday and bring your tape and play the songs?
Crazy.
I was like, don't threaten me with a good time. You know, I wasn't that clever with the words then, but it was literally that. And I showed up, and the girl at the front desk was not going to let me in with those songs to give to Jerry Crutchfield. He's busy. I was like, yeah, but he told me to be here. I met him at the restaurant the other night with his daughter Christy and her boyfriend Jim. Like, I was all in it. And I saw a box on the floor next to her desk on Music Row. And I was like, this tape is not going in that box. And she had a jam box. And I said, here, well, then why don't you just listen to a couple of these songs? I wasn't playing.
Oh, wow.
She's the receptionist. I didn't know shit about Shinola, okay? And so she listened to first song, and then she listened to the next song, and then she got halfway through the next song. She's like, hold on, Jerry, there's someone here to see you, you know. And so she's like, okay, I'll take you up. So I go up, and I see Christy, his daughter, in her office, because she worked there at Crutchfield Music. Sorry, I'm burping. Anyway, and she sends me in to see her dad, and we say hello, little pleasantries, and I go in with my tape. He's like, where's Karen? I said, I told you she's at her grandma's in North Carolina trying to figure out how not to work at Home Goods or TJ Maxx. And he's like, well, let me hear these songs. So he started listening. And Karen had also made a CD at that point because she had like a grandmother investor or something. How we had to do. And he listened to the songs from the tape, some that we'd written together. Majority of the songs she'd written alone. And he's like, how do I get in touch with her? And I'm like, well, let's call her grandma's house. So we called, and Karen thought I was punking her. I was like, I have Jerry Crutchfield. She didn't know I was going. And Jerry heard the songs, and he said, when can you get back to Nashville? And she's like, tomorrow. And he signed her to a publishing deal.
So she got a publishing deal.
So she got a publishing deal
but what about you?
Not leaving. I wasn't ready for that yet.
Okay.
So I wasn't that kind of a songwriter yet. Or at least my confidence wasn't. Karen was very confident.
So you got her that publishing
I got her a publishing deal. And
Did you know what publishing meant
No!
at the time?
No, I just knew that it was this is where people come to find songs for records, and you could be a songwriter and they could pay you. I think they paid her like $12,500 for her yearly draw or something crazy. And we could live on that. She could live on that at the time. And so they signed her, and she was there for 3 years. And then 3 years in, I had gone to hair school, my just-in-case career, and was writing songs more with her and recording. So my first experiences were in the studio, at Jerry's studio, seeing like Tanya Tucker go in and out, and Lee Greenwood, and all these legendary country stars. And we're recording in the same studio, and they're literally cutting tape on our demos. And I was always so nervous, because hearing yourself on headphones as opposed to just singing live in a room in a bar, you know, putting on shows is a different thing. And I was so nervous, but I got good at it. And once I had songs that I really loved, some that I'd written alone, some that I'd written with her, she had decided to move on and go to another publishing company called Famous Music Publishing. And she took my demo and returned the favor. And Pat Finch signed me to a publishing deal.
So that was your first deal.
And that was my first deal in 1999. That's when I got offered my deal.
Okay. So you had a publishing deal.
Had a publishing deal.
That was fast.
It was pretty fast. Yeah.
And did you have?
I don't know why, because those songs were terrible. They were terrible.
Well,
I'm like,
something.
the structure was there. They saw something, but yeah.
But so you just jumped in. You had to learn publishing.
I did.
And did you understand it?
Of course not. We still don't understand it. We've been doing this for how long?
Confusing.
It's confusing, but you know, I had a good lawyer who I met, who's a badass lawyer, like big deal now. His name's Derek Crownover, and he was a client in our hair salon.
Oh wow!
And he did my publishing deal for me for free because I didn't have no money. I was working. I was trying to pay all to everything. Retain what?
Yeah, retain what?
Retainer. I needed
No,
one
sir.
at that time.
Yeah.
But Derek, I got the first thing that you can do for yourself when you are negotiating anything is find the right lawyer.
Yes.
And at that time, that was Derek Crownover for me, and he was awesome. I got an unheard of publishing deal. I had co-pub in my first deal. I didn't have. I got a good draw.
Wow.
They even gave me more money when I moved to New York City. So child, we can go on for hours, but we don't have hours here on the MLC podcast.
We don't have hours. So you both have had. I can't even with the two of you.
You have.
So I know. We're gonna have to do like
a series.
Three.
Yeah.
A mini series. So both of you have had multiple publishing deals, record deals.
Yes.
And you're going through all of these partnerships, we'll call them. How do you? I mean, if you're talking to a young writer coming up now.
You want real talk? Okay, go ahead. Finish your question. Yeah.
If you're talking to a young writer who's just starting out, like I spoke to this class of young writers at Belmont yesterday, and I'm breaking down publishing
and how it works,
and copyright, and being the owner of everything you create until you give up that ownership to someone else. And
or participate in the ownership with someone else.
And, one thing I think that gets lost is that you have all the leverage until you decide that you want to share, right? Or become partners with someone. So when you're navigating these things as you go along through these deals, what would you say to a young songwriter who's like, I've got this offer, what should I do? How would you tell them that they should approach a relationship with a publisher? Because it's so different today. It's really different today, and it's not. You wouldn't be able to just walk into an office and hand them a tape, and they're not even interested really in that, right? It's more. There's either a word of mouth situation. People are connected. It's relationship based. We know that, but. How would you tell them to navigate that? Honestly, like what would be your biggest advice looking back at all the deals you did, all the publishing situations, all the record, you had a record deal that fell through. I remember that.
Right. It's make it your business to learn about this business first. And find if you're not signed to a PRO, that needs to be your first thing before you get out there trying to find a publishing deal.
Yeah.
Because a performance royalty organization, they can be the biggest advocate that you could possibly have. So if you have, like for me, I had Sam Cox and Becca Calloway Tishker. I had Leslie Roberts. The first person to sign to ASCAP was actually Connie Bradley, because I was washing her hair every week and doing her blowouts with Earl Cox.
All these people
she drove me. The head of ASCAP drove me and was like, "You're signing to ASCAP, sir." And she had just had an inkling that I might be a songwriter.
Yeah.
But having a rep and a relationship with a rep at BMI, SESAC, or ASCAP is so very important, because they can answer the questions, and they're there to do that, and they're there to advocate for the songwriter and be on the side of a songwriter.
Right.
So anything,
and you're not paying them,
right?
They're not
and you're
on
not,
payroll.
no,
right.
and you're not on there, and they just want to give you good, solid advice. They can set you up with other co-writers, with show opportunities like the Key West Songwriters Festival, like there's and help you like really cultivate your talent, and help you understand the value of what a song or a hit song can bring, and how you need to hold on to that for as long as you can. Listen, I've been in co-pub deals and full pub deals. I've been in an admin deal. I'm back in a co-pub deal. And so I've tried them all. And with the idea of like, oh, if you have a co-pub, then they've got a little bit more skin in the game, and they're probably going to do a little bit more for you. It really just comes down to your relationship and your gut feeling of who this team is and what they're going to bring to the table, like opportunity wise. If you're a young up and coming songwriter, owning it for as long as you can is going to be the best thing that you can do for yourself. But if someone so passionately believes in you, and maybe you know other songwriters like that are coming up at the same time as you, and maybe they're signed there, and you're seeing growth and movement in there, and now this company's interested in you, it might be the right move for you to go there, because 0% of nothing is nothing.
There it is.
If they're bringing you co-writing situations, and they're bringing you sessions, they're bringing you opportunity, they're paying maybe your demo cost, or just to keep, if it's an opportunity where you're like, I can't possibly work another job anymore, all I want to do is eat, sleep, and breathe music, and that's it, and I want to play the game, then that might work for you. It's not for everybody. It's very individual.
It is.
And everybody's road is different too.
Yeah.
Like depending on temperament, how people collaborate, and finding the right people who kind of understand who you are, like even as a writer, then those opportunities that he's talking about, you'll start to feel like that ain't my people.
Right.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't be, regardless of what might be happening, with some friends that they might be working with. It's like you start to instinctively know where you belong and where you don't. And the people who have this, like, kind of what I like to call just knowledge of self from early on in their life, they tend to be the ones who are able to kind of have these partnerships, have these relationships that sometimes it can be a year, sometimes 3 years, sometimes longer shelf life. To me, they seem to be the most agile in navigating the terrain of music business and publishing and all of that. You have to really have an anchor of self, and an understanding of self, and not just, who am I, right? No, it's like, where am I going? What do I want? What kind of experience am I looking to have?
What do I not want?
You have to know what you don't want.
It's also, let me just tell you, as a hit songwriter, and being a hit songwriter, I'm so blessed. I'm in the top 1% of it. Like, I have made a career and a life out of music. That was my dream. That is what I wanted to do. As a kid, the thing that I crave and miss now is the joy creation place, the hunger, the longer that you can stay creating from that place. Because what happens when you sign a publishing deal is now suddenly you have someone to answer to for your creativity that sometimes isn't on all the time. And you have to meet a quota. It's like you need to know the ins and outs of how this actually works. There's an expectation for you. And then all of us that have had a publishing deal, for the most part, have been signed and dropped. Like the way our business changed, or just circumstances that are out of your control. And sometimes it just takes a little bit longer to get it going. I got my first cut in 2000, and I think it was Reba McEntire, and it didn't make the record, and I was so devastated. And then I got a record deal and moved to New York, and then 9/11 happened, and then I lost my record deal, and I lost my publishing deal. And so all I knew to do was hair, wait tables, run karaoke show. I was doing everything I could possibly do. You know what I mean? And at that time, I was covered in shame because I thought they had figured me out that I really wasn't talented. You know what I mean? And embarrassed to be in Nashville because I wasn't writing songs full time. I was a child. And there's no shame in having to drive an Uber or work another job while you're going for your dream, because what you have, a song has value. I am one of those that has been so lucky to have one that blew the hell up on TikTok and went 7 times platinum and is paying for the life, but it's very few and far between. And being able to hold on as long as you can and be hungry and create from that. I have to create because it's my joy. Because there's nothing else I want to do on this planet. You know what I mean? Holding on to that for as long as you can and build that catalog and get out and network and meet other artists and meet other writers and then see what can happen. Because if you go into a situation where you've got some buzz on a song, you're worth more. You got a song that's blowing up on streaming, or that you have ownership, you're worth more. You have a song that might become a radio single, you're worth a whole lot more.
That's right.
Hold on as long as you can. Unless you're just that kid that's like, I'm going to bet on this team. They're betting on me. They're going to give me a little. I'm going to give them a little. And maybe they're going to pour gasoline on the fire. But it's also about having the discernment to know when.
Yeah.
That part.
Because it's a risk.
It is such a risk. It's a risk on both sides.
Yeah.
But it can be a way bigger risk on the creative, and what it does to your spirit, and what it does to your soul, and what it does to you when you are a creator at your core.
Right. Because it's not just a job for you.
Right.
The's no choice.
It's your passion.
It
is what you're created to do.
That's interesting. What you just said about the job, and then just kind of piggyback on what you're saying. One of the challenges that Prana and I had early on, because we're not songwriters in the traditional Nashville sense of the word.
Meaning you don't go 10 to 2. Right.
So for me, as an advocate of creatives and songwriters and artists in general,
right,
like a true advocate for many of friends of mine who are in different mediums of art and creative work, this idea that there is this whip, 9 to 5, get in here and write the song all day long.
Which is typical in Nashville.
That's what we do every day.
I get it. I understand. But for me,
that's not you.
And not even just for me. I'm talking about the creativity, the way that it is formed and how it drops down, and when it drops down, every artist is not going to have that kind of bandwidth to produce that all the time.
And that pressure can change things.
And it can really damage a more gentle soul, right? And to go back to you saying, understand and know the business before you get into the business, that's something that needs to be understood from the creative and the songwriter, that, hey, in certain environments, especially where Nashville is concerned, this is the system. This is how they're working.
And it's called the music business, not the music creative
or
the music playtime.
That's right.
No, it's like it's a business.
You have to. Each individual person has to be given that information so that they can make wise decisions based on their bandwidth and what they can really provide.
Retweet.
You know what I'm saying? Like that to me is when speaking about young people.
Yeah.
Or even just new artists of whatever age. That to me is a very key and foundational piece of information and knowledge that they need to have so that they can protect their energy, their power, and their mental health, if we really want to talk real. Because to me, the music industry and entertainment business, by and large, is probably the worst place for healtly mental
the comparison game, girl. Seeing how everybody's doing so great on Instagram.
Nasty.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's just to me, we, as people who have been in the business for a long time, and even where Shane's coming from, you know, and having the experiences that he has, I think it is our job, and we are obligated to really start to put a little bit more attention on the needs of the mental health of creatives and artists in general, because we are doing a service that is beyond just getting an award or making somebody shake their butt. Right. There is something that music specifically has been gifted to us to be able to pass on to the person who's not able to put that into words or get that particular sound to come out of their mouth that touches the heart and the soul of a person. So we have to protect those people the same way that you would protect the doctor's hands.
That's right.
The same way that you would protect the educator.
Right. That's right.
We're all here for a reason. I'm not saying that creatives are any higher or lower left or right. I'm saying these people have a particular skill set that you can't even really go to school and learn it. They can send you to school to learn it.
Right. No, but you're channeling something. Something's coming through you.
Yes.
That's right. Rick Rubin always talks about that, like artists, the creator being sort of like a transmitter.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
It's fully channeling for me.
And it just pours out of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is something that young creators always ask about.
Okay.
They always want to know how to have the awkward conversation about splits.
Oh.
And because you know, your friends and
it's
collaborators.
Different in different cities and different genres.
And that's another point that I wanted to get to. Yeah. Because you've crossed so many genres from hip hop to Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Pop in LA. Nashville.
Yeah,
like, you know, it's also different. So when you're how do you navigate these things when you don't really, like, you don't want to step on anybody's toes, you don't want to ruin the vibe, like this is the concern all the time from
the thing that's great though that it is a concern, because when I was coming up I didn't know what that was. I just thought, okay, there's 3 people in the room, then we split this evenly.
Well, now there's an average of 7 or more in the room,
which is wild.
You
know, 20 years ago there were 3
average.
That's like
I remember back in the day that if if I saw 4 writers on a song, I was like, or 5, oh my God. Why in the world did it take 5 people
to pull
to
that
write
together?
that? Like,
Same.
literally, or like,
Same.
it was like a ego thing in a way.
Same.
It really
it's like
was.
that in hip-hop too.
It really was. Like, 3 writers was like the gold. 2 writers? Oh, and if you were Hugh Pressman and wrote it by yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. It's different in country music. Usually it's whoever's in the room. If there's 3 of you or 4 of you, then you're splitting it equally. I feel like Nashville splits might be changing a little bit more depending on if there's a producer in the room or how that's working. In pop and pop music in LA, you know, for the longest time it was starting, they were kind of taking on the hip hop thing, meaning like the producer would get 50%, and then the top liners, meaning the people who wrote the lyric melody in the room, would split the other 50. It's just being able to have an open, honest conversation.
And do it right away?
Be like, hey, y'all, let's talk about splits.
Yeah.
You know,
you're all on the same team.
And I feel like it's coming up more and more and more and more often now in conversations, you know. Just get it out of the way so it doesn't get awkward and crazy later.
And if you're a person who's a non-confrontational person, I don't know if you can tell, me and Shane don't struggle with that.
No, we don't.
So we're going to talk about everything that needs to be talked about.
We will spill all the tea.
There are people who are just insecure about having conversations, not just about splits, because splits to them equals money, and people are scared to talk about money.
Right, and also be fair.
Well, that part. So then in a situation like that, you know, if you don't have management, like you, again, knowing the business, you have to come into the room, understand that you need these kind of pieces in place so you can have somebody to broach that conversation if you're not qualified to do so for yourself, or if you're just afraid.
Yeah.
And having a split sheet. I've been in a few sessions in recent years where the publisher, like the day-to-day in the office, has come in after the session to, if it's their writer, and they bring a split sheet
That's
in.
great.
And everybody, and it's like knowing your information for BMI, SESAC, or ASCAP, having it available on your phone.
That's
Everybody is agreeing to this right now. This
we
is
did that
equal splits.
ahead of each session that we did. We already had those emails went over to them. Like we're not going to be struggling with that.
Right. Yeah.
and everything will be fair.
If everyone, but if you know from the jump, you know, it just evens the playing field.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's out of the way. There's no stress. It's usually the thing that no one wants to talk about, but it's important
Just
now.
get it out the way.
Really is. Just get out the way. Everybody knows it's going to happen. Just do it.
You're on the
if
same
you're creating
team.
with people that you love, or even someone that you've just met, and listen, we've all been in rooms where somebody didn't do nothing.
Yes.
But we've all been in rooms where the person that contributed nothing said
Still on
something
there.
that changed everything.
That's a fact.
From the conversation. It is about a vibration. It is about
Yep.
creation, and it comes in different ways. And sometimes for me, it comes with me sitting right by my damn self.
Yeah.
And here it is.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm having a conversation with you today, and you've now fully inspired a song, and so just depends.
And you all want to make money. You all want to get paid. So
Absolutely.
have the conversation.
As it's harder and harder to get paid these days, which
That's
is
our
why we
part
have
two
MLCs,
conversation.
which is
Part
why we have
two,
the
yes.
Sonas, which is why we have the Grammy, all of it.
All
Yeah.
of it.
All of it.
Okay, so here's our closing little question. Because we are in this, I think it's a very transformative moment in the music business.
Yes.
We have a new generation of songwriters coming in and people leaving, and it's just the Wild West.
Right.
Yeah.
If we're in the process of rebuilding a stronger, a better, more equitable, fairer, healthier music business ecosystem, there's an
That's a big
opportunity,
question.
right?
Uh-huh.
For sure.
What's the one thing you would implore of these young people coming up, and even people in our generation? What's the one thing they can do to contribute to a better business?
Oh my God. She done dropped it.
I mean,
Mic drop.
right.
Thank God we got to stand.
Barbara Walters is my idol.
I mean, Barbara Walters. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And Oprah.
Just
And
saying.
Oprah. Come on, Oprah.
Okay. I see where you're going.
Mine's always from the spiritual side of things. It's stay completely true to yourself and write what you know. Not what you know, but what you know.
Authenticity.
And authenticity. And, yeah.
It all goes back to the song.
It all goes back to the song. You
know,
are the creator of creation,
Yeah.
I would say, in addition to that, ditto. In addition to that, again, out of my like overarching need for creatives to protect themselves and to protect their, you know, creative control and their energy and their peace as they're trying to create that song, to spend some time considering, especially because of this transition that we're in and the boom of technology from years ago, I'm talking about from 15 years ago, 20 years ago, to even where we are now, to be looking at your work and your creative contribution as a marketing tool for your platform, for your brand. That's the marketing tool. So then you have to have other things that you're already kind of identified with. Like you could love to fish or love to hunt or love clothes or love whatever it is.
Right.
Identify what those things are and look at trying to create your streams of revenue based on those things and use the creative so that can be untarnished, untouched by what the system may want from you, or you might have a certain kind of look and you're going to the label saying, well, you look like this, so do that, but you might want to sing folk music, right? Yeah. So instead of being beholden to the way things are done from the outside, be fully engaged and in tune with who you are, what you're trying to present and represent, and think of your creativity as something that is a driver, right? And a tool, and really start to understand not just music business, but business, right?
Being an entrepreneur.
I think that is the way, especially with the power of technology and how
rapidly everything changes, especially with AI.
Able to now use the technology in their favor, where you won't need a record company to do anything for you. You might have to slug it out a little bit because it does cost to make music. But there's just so many ways to do it now.
And the thing is, man, if you are meant to do it, you will find a way to do it.
You'll find a way.
You'll find a way. And there'll be no shame in it.
No,
you know, it's just, it is harder and harder and harder what songwriters need to know that are coming up for us to make a living. Until these streaming rates and things change, and knowing that there are like Sona, MLC, NMPA, NSAI, organizations that are out there fighting for our rights. There are people out here doing the damn thing. Like that have to go to Congress and fight. You know what I mean? Like we deserve to be paid. And it's valuable, and we can't just keep giving it away and letting things get bundled and bundled and bundled over and over and over and over and over. Like, I want this next generation of songwriters to be able to experience what it is to have a hit song and actually pay their rent.
And see
the fruits of their labor. And until that happens, that's my biggest thing is I feel so sorry for kids that think they're not valuable or important or talented if they're not only making their living off of music.
That doesn't actually exist. Think about every big name is not living only on their music.
That's right.
The music is a launching pad.
I'm looking at it now as like the whipped cream. But all the other things, all the other gifts that I have, I'm using those, you know, building this like Shane on You brand thing. And so that I can get back to the place where music is, gosh, if we have a hit, that's going to be awesome. You know, let me just write my heart. Let me just do what connects to me. Let me just do something new and keep it fresh.
I love that. That's great advice.
Okay.
The two of you are just...
You didn't know what you was getting into, did you?
I mean, I did. But thank you so much. We're going to do another one because, you know, there's so much to talk about. But thank you for being here. Thank you for all your wisdom.
Oh, thank you.
And you're just high-quality human beings. And I admire and respect you both so much for your... You know, just doing this all the time.
Thank you. God bless you.
You're always at it.
You. Merry Christmas.
You're genuine. You're authentic. Merry Christmas. We love you.
Happy holidays. We love you. Thanks.
Thanks so much for listening to Taking Care of Your Music Business. Don't forget, you can watch full video episodes on our YouTube channel, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.